Welcome to HUD's Housing Choice Voucher Overviews. This video will discuss the basic fundamentals of the Housing Choice Voucher program and how it operates. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, commonly known as HUD, manages several different affordable housing options for renters. One option is private subsidized rental units, in which HUD works with private property owners to subsidize families to live in their property. Public housing is another option. Public housing authorities, or PHAs, own and manage subsidized public housing units. Tenants must apply to live in public housing units directly with their public housing authority. Lastly, renters can apply for the Housing Choice Voucher program, in which families receive a voucher that they use to help pay for rental housing of their choosing. This video will focus on the Housing Choice Voucher program. The Housing Choice Voucher, or HCV program, is the federal government's program for assisting families, elderly, and disabled individuals to afford safe, decent, and sanitary housing of their choice. Participants can choose any housing that meets both their needs and program health and safety requirements. Participants typically pay 30% of their monthly income toward rent and utilities, and the Public Housing Authority, or PHA, pays the difference in rent each month directly to the landlord. The HCV program is managed by local PHAs. PHAs might be at the city, county, region, or small town, and sometimes state level. This means that the HCV program will vary slightly based on the local policy choices available to PHAs. However, most program requirements and rules are determined by HUD and apply to every HCV program. To locate and apply for the Housing Choice Voucher program, start by contacting your local PHA. You can find contact information for local PHAs on HUD's website. Select your state and scroll through the list of PHAs to find the one that closest fits your jurisdiction. Look for PHAs in your desired locations where the type is either Section 8 or combined, meaning they administer a combination of programs, including HCV, which is also known as Section 8. In some cases, PHA jurisdictions may overlap, and your desired location may be served by more than one PHA, particularly if a state PHA administers HCV. Since the demand for housing assistance often exceeds the limited resources available to HUD and the local housing agencies, long waiting periods are common. In fact, a PHA may close its waiting list when it has more families on the list than can be assisted in the near future. PHAs may establish local preferences for selecting applicants from its waiting list. For example, PHAs might, give a preference to a family who is homeless or living in substandard housing, paying more than 50% of its income for rent, or involuntarily displaced. Families who qualify for any such local preference move ahead of other families on the list who do not qualify for any preference. Each PHA has the discretion to establish local preferences to reflect the housing needs and priorities of its particular community. Some PHAs have special vouchers aimed at assisting individuals and families in specific situations. One such type voucher is aimed at assisting homeless veterans. These are called VASH vouchers. FUP vouchers assist foster youth and families separated due to lack of housing. NED vouchers are for non-elderly disabled households. And emergency housing vouchers, EHV, are aimed at households which are homeless or at risk of homelessness or those fleeing domestic violence. Some of these special vouchers involve households being referred to the PHA, such as VASH by the local Veterans Administration, EHV by the local Continuum of Care organization, and FUP by local public child welfare agencies. More information on these programs can be found on HUD's webpage. A family may be eligible for the HCV program if the household income is at or below 50% of the area median income, or the middle income of families in that geographical area. Area median income, or AMI, is calculated by HUD each year and can be found on HUD's website or can be provided by the local PHA. The PHA will determine the eligibility for the Housing Choice Voucher program based on gross income and family size. PHAs are required to award 3/4 of available Housing Choice Vouchers to families who are at or below 30% of area median income in order to prioritize families most in need of assistance. For example, let's imagine a family of 3 lives in Chicago, Illinois, and their monthly gross income is $5,000 per month. According to HUD, the 2022 monthly AMI for the Chicago metro area is about $7,816. This means that the family's monthly income is 64% of AMI, and it would not qualify for the HCV program. However, if this household's monthly income is $2,000, then the family would be living at 28% of AMI and would qualify for the program. The PHA will also consider other factors when determining eligibility, such as family composition, employment status, assets, and any additional income information. It is important to make sure complete and accurate information is provided to the PHA. This check of eligibility is typically done by the PHA when the family rises to the top of the PHA's waiting list. Having reached the top of the waiting list and confirmed to be eligible, it is time for the family to start looking for the right home. The PHA will conduct a briefing session explaining the program in detail and issue the voucher to the family that it will use to look for housing. A voucher can be used for any type of rental housing, including single-family homes, apartment units, manufactured homes, and single-family dwellings within a condo or co-op, as long as it meets health and safety requirements and the landlord agrees to accept voucher payments for rent that the PHA determines is reasonable in the market. Once the family receives a voucher, it has 60 to 120 days to find a qualified home, depending on PHA policy. Using the flexibility allowed under the program rules, PHAs can give extensions. They must also consider request of additional time as a reasonable accommodation of a disability. If the family is unable to find a suitable housing unit in that time, it will need to reapply for the HCV program. After a family chooses the place it wants to rent and the landlord agrees to work with the HCV program, the household must submit a request for tenancy approval, or RTA, to its PHA that is prepared by the owner. The PHA will review the request and schedule an inspection for the rental unit. During the inspection, a certified inspector checks to make sure that the unit meets health and safety standards set by HUD. The inspection process ensures that families are renting decent, safe, and sanitary homes. After the unit passes inspection, it's time to sign documents, which include a contract agreement between the landlord and PHA requiring compliance with the HCV rules. Once this is complete, the PHA will give the family the approval to sign its lease with the landlord. The family should not sign a lease until it receives approval from the PHA. Each month, the PHA will pay the approved amount of rent directly to the landlord, and the family will be responsible for paying its portion, which will typically be around 30% of the household's monthly adjusted income. However, the amount that a PHA pays toward rent depends on several factors. The PHA determines the typical amount needed to rent a moderately priced unit in a given area, known as the payment standard. The payment standard is used to calculate the maximum amount of monthly assistance that a family will receive from the PHA. However, a family may choose to rent a unit that is above the payment standard. If a family chooses to rent a unit above the payment standard, it is responsible for paying the additional amount. The renter may not pay more than 40% of adjusted monthly income when starting a lease. Please see our separate video on payment standards for more details. Mobility is an important feature of the HCV program, which makes it different from other housing programs. This is the choice part of Housing Choice Vouchers. You might ask, can I move and continue to receive Housing Choice Voucher assistance? A family's housing needs change over time with changes in family size, job locations, and for many other reasons. The Housing Choice Voucher program is designed to allow families to move without the loss of housing assistance. Moves are permissible as long as the family notifies the PHA ahead of time, terminates its existing lease within the lease provisions, and finds acceptable alternate housing. Moves can be made within the PHA's jurisdiction or outside of it. When moves are made to another PHA's jurisdiction, it is called portability. Under the voucher program, new voucher holders may choose a unit anywhere in the United States if the family lived in the jurisdiction of the PHA issuing the voucher when the family applied for assistance. Those new voucher holders not living in the jurisdiction of the PHA at the time the family applied for housing assistance must initially lease a unit within that jurisdiction for the first 12 months of assistance. A family that wishes to move to another PHA's jurisdiction must consult with the PHA that currently administers its housing assistance to verify the procedures for moving. This is HCV's Portability feature. This concludes the presentation on how HUD's Housing Choice Voucher Program works. To learn more about the HCV program, please visit www.hud.gov/HCV.